Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got another one for you straight out of St. Louis, Missouri, that has to deal with a real estate development company. And what is the reason for doing this video? Well, in my previous videos, as you can see, as a result of the Survivors Act, the entertainment industry, what Puffy is going through, this sanctuary city, this influx of illegal migrants, the New York City mayor being indicted, and post-pandemic, the feds are going to be very, very busy trying to make corrective measures for people and companies to do the right thing. During the pandemic season, that time that a lot of everything shut down from a law enforcement standpoint, businesses, and there was a lull for a while in our U.S. economy. And we had pandemic relief funds for any of those who were falsifying fake companies during the pandemic relief and acquired monies from that. They're going to do their auditing. And this one is about an old story that has been going on for decades, where white-owned companies that have to have some minority participation based on state regulations or federal regulations, and they fake like they have had minority participation in order to get those state and federal funds. And this big real estate company that has many developments throughout St. Louis and Kansas City, throughout the state of Missouri, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar by falsifying that they had minority participation. That has been very, very important. I'm glad the states and the federal regulations are making all white companies adhere to this, because if not, there would be no minority participation. And breaking that glass ceiling has been a hurdle for many years for minority-owned businesses. So this particular company pretended that they had minority participation based on the guidelines for their funding, and they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And all three of these individuals have been indicted. And this company has had a past of irregularities and some illegalities that have taken place, and now the feds have indicted them. Feds are going to be busy in the entertainment industry doing the people that have received PPE funding and falsified their companies. The feds are going to be coming after many of these companies. So let's go straight out of St. Louis. Feds indict Lux Living owners on charges of defrauding St. Louis minority hiring program. Owners of one of the region's highest profile developing firms with ongoing projects in St. Louis, Missouri, and Kansas City, Missouri, were indicted on fraud charges. The federal indictment alleges Lux Living owners and brothers Vic Alston and Sid Chakravarty and their chief accountant Shijing Poppy Ko conspired to defraud the city of St. Louis to gain millions of dollars worth of tax incentives from the city through its minority hiring program. The Minority Business Enterprise and Women-Owned Business Enterprise programs seek to address critical social and economic disadvantages experienced by women and minority groups. The brothers are behind several properties and developments in both St. Louis and Kansas City, including the Chelsea and Soho luxury apartment complexes in St. Louis and the Wonderland and Katz building renovations in Kansas City. The brothers also own and operate Big Sur Construction, a construction management and development company. Both Big Sur Construction and Lux Living are privately owned companies. So what does the indictment allege from this trio who defrauded city programs. Austin, Chakravarti, and Ko are each charged with wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud in the indictment. According to the unsealed indictment, the Chelsea and Soho projects, located in St. Louis, the Bolivar Place, and Soulard neighborhoods, respectively, are core to the charges. Officials allege the trio submitted falsified documents to the St. Louis Development Corporation, claiming businesses owned by minorities and women performed millions of dollars worth of work. Millions of dollars. The indictment alleges that work never took place. Neil Richardson, president and CEO of the St. Louis Development Corp., said the city's development arm was subpoenaed in the investigation. He said, "We provided all the information that we could provide, being as transparent as possible, and let the courts do their job," Richardson said. According to the indictment, officials at the Development Corporation became suspicious after Austin, Chakravarti, and Ko repeatedly tried to falsely verify inflated payments from a cleaning company to the corporation. So they pretended like this cleaning company did millions of dollars worth of work. When Lux Living failed to get verification, the indictment reads, they sought another woman-owned business enterprise to falsely verify it had done the work. The brothers and Ko face up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine if found guilty on the conspiracy charges. Wire fraud charges carry the same penalty. Assistant U.S. Attorney Hal Goldsmith, it said, is prosecuting the case. Now, what are some of the legal histories and tenant complaints with this company, Lux Living? Austin and Chakravarti are no strangers to public scrutiny. An NPR Midwest newsroom investigation in 2022 uncovered that Lux Living failed to disclose a history of SEC violations and lawsuits while seeking to build affordable housing at the KC Port in Kansas City, Missouri. Public records show Lux Living's chief executive, Victor Austin, was sanctioned in 2017 by the Securities and Exchange Commission while he was in charge of IXIA, a network company based in California. The SEC found Austin broke accounting rules while he was chief executive of the publicly traded company, resulting in IXIA restating past financial statements. Austin agreed to a settlement with the Federal Trade Commission that barred him from serving as an officer or director of any publicly traded company for 5 years and fined him $100,000. As part of the SEC settlement, Austin did not admit or deny wrongdoing. The Kansas City riverfront development deal fell apart when the KC Ports board voted against approving tax incentives worth more than $25 million to Lux Living. The track record of the developer raises a lot of questions, said Bruce Eddy, who leads the Jackson County Community Mental Health Fund at the time. A handful of investigations into the brothers' businesses have revealed long-standing issues at their rental properties across St. Louis, including tenants complaining of property neglect, lackluster management, and short-term rentals leading to parties in their buildings. In March, a 16-year-old was shot to death in a downtown St. Louis building where a party was being held at a short-term Airbnb rental. In 2022, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch chronicled complaints by residents of the Hudson, a Lux Living development, who signed leases and found themselves occupying unfinished apartments. Now, what about the problems in Kansas City? So in St. Louis, they're renting out unfinished apartments to residents. Problems in Kansas City. Lux Living's recent proposals for new developments in Kansas City have stalled. Most recently, a proposal to build a high-rise hotel near Kansas City's Power and Light building fell apart after the project received tax incentive approval and some public support. Lux Living's KC Port development and an apartment development in the city's crossroads were also abandoned, according to reporting by Flatland KC, and work at the 215-unit Wonderland project and 192-unit renovation of the Katz building have slowed after some initial construction. So this company has a plethora of issues and problems. We all know in doing real estate or having a real estate company, there is a ton of risk management that takes place. There are an exuberant amount of loans that are generally ascertained in many real estate companies. There are tax incentives. There are all kinds of relationships that take place when you're doing huge projects with city government, state government, and even the federal government, especially in redevelopment parts of your city. So there are tons of documents that you have to sign. There are tons of right and wrong issues following the letter to the law. You have to have high-end real estate attorneys that really know what they're doing. You have to have a certain passion for doing the right thing. If you know how to put a project together, establish funding, whether it's involved with banks, your city, your state, and your federal government, you have to follow all of those rules and appropriate those funds to the letter of the law. And it sounds like that these three individuals were cutting corners, were not taking care of their properties. They were trying to do mass development, but not checking off all the boxes. And as a result, it looks and appears as if these three individuals have gotten their hand caught in the cookie jar, and they were moving at a pace faster than what the developments were moving at. And as a result, they started allegedly lying about minority participation, saying that there were minority companies that were doing the cleaning part of their developments, and the feds have come in and said that none of that was true. This has happened all the time, or many times throughout the years, the decades, where you have a primarily white company that is supposed to abide by some minority participation, and they have no relationship or even want to do with any minority real estate company in association with their developments. And this has happened for many, many years. This is why I'm bringing and doing this story. There should be a bilateral minority participation in these kinds of developments, no matter what color you are, to give women and people of a lesser opportunity a great opportunity to participate in development of any of our cities. And with their arrogance and their greed, now the feds have come in and indicted these three individuals who have multiple projects throughout the state of Missouri. And they have had past egregious and illegal complaints filed against them, even with the SEC. And now they're going to have to face the piper and address these issues with the FBI. And if they don't come up with the right answers, they may go to jail. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience.